Welcome to Talking Giants presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bob Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Penik. And we got Monday Night Football, baby, prime time football. New York Giants at the Pittsburgh Steelers. Two historic franchises, two bad offenses, two good defenses, Justin. I'm excited. No, I'm not. How are you?
I'm good. You know what I just thought of? I'll bring some cheer to this game. I'm looking at October 26, 2008. Where the New York Football Giants, led by Tom Coughlin, beat Mike Tomlin's Pittsburgh Steelers. 6-1 Giants beat the 5-2 Steelers. With the game-winning score coming with 3 minutes left.
Someone's
in the
trying
fourth
to
quarter.
cheat in trivia. That's what they're trying to do.
No.
Trivia.
No, I just, as you were saying your intro, I was just reminded about the Kevin Boss 2-yard pass from Eli Manning to win the game in Pittsburgh, where the Giants were just the best team in the NFL. And they kicked ass. And that was one of the best games that I've ever watched, Bobby Skinner. So those were the good times. I'm good. Monday night may not be a good time.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll get into all of it. I'm excited to watch the Giants defense versus the Steelers offense, and then not so much the opposite side of that. And then we'll bring on Jolly Olive fresh off of his Mets collapse for trivia and segments and weather and all that good stuff. Justin, before we get into this episode, it's brought to you by some special people. We got Bobby Allison.
Really?
Yeah, same first name as me.
Rest in peace?
David Pearson.
Whoa.
He likes to pierce things. And then also Daryl Waltrip. Justin, who are these people?
Now, it's an interesting crop of names. Wonder if they have any relation to some other people. Patreon.com/TalkOfGiants. That's where those three legends went. They went to Patreon.com/TalkOfGiants, and for $2 a month, you could sign up. And you can watch the shows live as we record them. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail. Plus, there's some shirt raffles. Be a legend, like Bobby Allison, David Pearson, and Daryl Waltrip. Be some legends. You'll be glad you did.
Be aggressive. All right, Justin, what do you want to talk about first? The Giants offense or the Giants? Actually, you know what? We have to talk about the Giants offense first, because since the last time we recorded, Justin, because it's Monday Night Football, they were able to ask Brian. Actually, no, this happened since then. Daniel Jones is the starter. I know we debated this on the mailbag. Not even debated. I think we both landed at the same place. Who, if you were the head coach, who would be your starting quarterback this week?
Daniel Jones.
It would be for me too, for a couple reasons. I think DJ is better. And I know people lose their mind, like, how could it be better? But if it goes bad, Justin, which I think it would go bad for a lot of QBs versus the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have a nice landing spot if you want to make the move to lock after this week with the Commanders and the Panthers and then a bye week. I would rather, if they're going to move to Drew Lock, I would rather it not happen Monday Night Football against the worst team in the NFL. And my reasoning for moving to Drew Lock would be because of the injury guarantee to Daniel Jones. And I understand you're playing, if that's your reasoning, you're risking it by putting him out there against TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Cam Hayward. I understand there's risk involved in that. But as, thinking, if I were the head coach, that is the way I would go about this, is I would play Daniel Jones in this game, and if it's as bad as it was the last two games or worse or close to it, I would probably make that change going up against the Washington Commanders and the Carolina Panthers before a bye week.
Yeah, if I'm the head coach, I mean, you have to think of it as the Giants are a 2-5 football team with an opportunity to go 3-5 Monday night, and that's a hell of a much better spot than they were in last year. With some, I don't want to call them, there is no favorable matchup for this Giants team, but this isn't the absolute toughest schedule that they have coming up the next couple games. So, I mean, if they, you win, if you're a coach, forget as a fan, and, they're not going to win, they're not going to do this, if they're not going to do that. 3-5, and you're in at the end of October, and you're not out of it. So, and I think Daniel Jones against the Pittsburgh Steelers, whether I think people like it or not, does give the Giants the best chance to win.
They don't like it. I'm just telling you that right now. So yeah, I agree. Now, before we get into more preview, I'm throwing this out there too. Since the last time we talked, John Mayer was at an event.
Yes.
And basically said, I don't envision any changes after the season when it comes to Joe Shane in Brian Dable. Now you have to take that with a grain of salt. The same reports have come out with McAdoo and Joe Judge, and those things have obviously changed. What were your thoughts, reading some of those quotes of I think we've been impatient in the past, even though I think he's been very patient with the GM spot. What were your thoughts on that?
I would have rather him just kind of bite his tongue and just maybe wait, because now I don't like when people speak too soon about things. Joe Shane did it with Daniel Jones, saying, "Oh, he's going to be back," and then Daniel Jones, took him out to the barn and shot him with that contract negotiation. I don't like John Mara just saying things too soon. Why not? I think you could say I have confidence in Brian Dable and Joe Shane, but much like every single season, we will reevaluate things at the end of the season. I mean, he could even just say that, Bobby, and then also say, but I really don't like how impatient I've been. But to just say that, basically, that they're going to be back in the month of October, at the end of October, when there's still 10 games left, and it could get a lot worse than it is currently right now. I don't love John Mara just having almost a blanket statement when we very much know that he can go against what he's said in the past about what he's wanted to do, but then he changes his mind when it kind of at the end of the day.
Yeah, and again, we know that this doesn't mean much because he has changed his mind at the end of the day, but he also has made promises. That was why they had every point of logic said fire Joe Judge after 2021. Every point of logic, but he had a hard time because he promised Judge when he offered the job, I'm going to give you guys time. I'm going to have patience. I'm going to let you try and build this thing. So I didn't have much reaction to it. My only reaction was well, you've been very patient with the GM spot with Jerry Reese and Dave Gettleman. That hasn't been your issue. Your impatience has been at the head coaching spot with Ben McAdoo, Pat Shurmur, and Joe Judge. And then, Brian Dable's the first guy to get a year 3 since Tom Coughlin. But anyways, let's get into the Steelers matchup. For the Giants on offense, this Steelers defense is legit, man. They're the number 2 scoring defense in the NFL, number 5 in EPA per play. They stop the run and rush the passer. And to me, it all starts with their pass rush, obviously. Because their passing offense, their numbers aren't amazing. They're number 22 in passing yards, 19th in success rate. But they just got dudes, man. TJ Watt, 4.5 sacks, 8 tackles for loss. He's led the NFL in sacks 3 of the last 4 years. And the 1 year he didn't, he missed 7 games that year. He's going to line up only on Jermaine Illuminor because we know Josh Azuda's going to play left tackle. So that's a big matchup for him. And then on the opposite side, you have Alex Highsmith, who, not the dominant force that TJ Watt is, but he's he will embarrass Josh Azudu every chance that he gets with a one-on-one snap. And then on the interior, they got Cam Hayward, who's 6 in total sacks, hits, and pressures for defensive tackles, and 2nd in pass rush win rate. Keanu Benton is putting together a nice, reputation as a pass rushing defensive tackle. I know they're not going to have their backup edge, Herbig, who's been pretty good. This front four can freaking get after it, and it's to me, it's like torture. If you have what the Giants just happened to them with 8 sacks, this has to be torture going up against this unit.
And they have such a low blitz rate, man, because they just rush 4.
They don't blitz at all.
20% blitz rate, which is
bottom 5 in the NFL.
So it's 7th lowest. It's 7th lowest according to Next Gen, and I'm sure Pro Football Reference has it as something different. But even the average time to throw, the Giants are 4th in average time to throw of opposing quarterbacks that are getting rid of the ball at the 4th quickest rate. The Pittsburgh Steelers are number 5. So NFL teams are averaging 2.7 seconds time to throw when you play the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's because you have to. You have to get rid of the ball quickly out of your hands. And that's what makes it so impressive, is that such a low blitz rate. And when you have TJ Watt, when you have these guys, Cam Hayward was not as... Cam Hayward had a lot of hits last year, but he wasn't getting the sacks. Now he's kind of putting it all back together again, a veteran in the league. They're dangerous, man. We all know it.
Yeah, it's led to a lot of success for them. So I don't see where the success as a passing offense comes from unless Malik Neighbors just has his A game. That's really the path to success, because they're not going to give you time to push the ball downfield. In reality, I do think this is a game where the Giants have to get a little heavier in their personnel. Because you cannot trust like as much as we love Jermaine Illuminor, one-on-one with TJ Watt, TJ Watt's going to win that battle. He is going to win that battle.
That is the positive of all this, is that TJ Watt's going up against the right tackle and not Josh Azudu as the left tackle. If there is one silver lining of this week, it's that, right?
No, because Alex Highsmith's on the opposite side, so I'm expecting both tackles to lose. Like Highsmith is, he's not a better player than Illuminor's not a better player than Highsmith, but I like Jermaine can hold his own. He's gonna have some bad plays, but with TJ Watt, I would expect TJ Watt to abuse Jermaine, and it's not a big shot at Jermaine. It's just that's the level of player TJ Watt is, and then Highsmith on the opposite side is going to abuse Josh Azuda. So you're going to have to keep in two tight ends. Like I'm expecting the Giants to line up in 12 personnel, Theo on one side, Bellinger and Manhurts on the other side, and try and play heavy personnel, kind of like they did against the Minnesota Vikings. But the difference is the Minnesota Vikings, you keep that heavy personnel in because you don't know where their rush is coming from. With the Steelers, you know exactly where it's coming from. It's just, can you block it? And that's the issue. But I also think, we'll get to the run game in a second. The Giants should probably take a lesson from the Steelers offense when it comes to their running game. But yeah, their coverages, they play very little man coverage, and they throw different zones at you, right? They don't have an identity this is the type of zone cover we're on. No, they spin the wheel on, they're spin the wheel, coverage defense, as Bill Belichick, describes it. So they don't give you a clear and they're aggressive in their zone too. So this cannot be a spam Wan'Dale Robinson game. I really hope we don't come out of this game where it's Wan'Dale Robinson, 11 targets, 7 catches, 53 yards, a bunch of third down targets where it doesn't convert. They got to figure out a way for Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton to get enough wins on the outside with play action, and then we'll talk about the running game and the success. It can't be. It's not. This is a awful. I hate this. It's not even just an awful matchup because the Giants' offense isn't good. They're 30th in scoring. It's just for a bad offensive team. This is about as bad as a matchup as you can get.
Do you think Theo Johnson's ready to take on more of an increased role in the receiving game?
Absolutely. And guess who's not expecting it? Anybody, because they don't use him at all. Maybe actually use him a little bit, right? Throw some contests, let him box guys out on third down. You know what? Because he's going to get the opportunities. 3rd and 5, instead of trying to get a choice route to Wan'Dale Robinson, which everyone is preparing for, let Theo Johnson box a guy out. If you want to have these long sustained drives and run the ball, and I guess we could talk about that too with the rushing offense. Not expecting rushing success in this game, right? They're number 3 in rushing, number 6 in success rates, 2nd in yards per carry, and they don't give you favorable looks. They're the 4th least attempts against them. But I think the Giants can learn a lesson from the Steelers, is because the Steelers are not a good rushing unit, but they are 9th in total rushing. They're 2nd in rushing attempts. Find an identity as a run game, and you're not going to pull at them. I've talked about it again. Run duo. I don't care if it's not super successful, because if that is how the Giants can find success in this game, even though they're a good rushing defense, is you're not going to put 31 points up on this team. The way that the Giants have a chance in this game, is their defense playing really well, and the Giants putting up 17 points and winning 17-16 or 17-14 or something of that nature. And the best way to do that is to have some type of rush success. You're not going to have it all game, but you can put together a successful rushing drive. And if you're going to be playing out of these heavy formations, you got to be able to. You got to be willing to run out of that. We cannot have happen what happened last week, where they run the ball 3 times in the first half. That is unacceptable. So is it going to lead to good offense? Absolutely not. We'll talk about the Steelers offense. But you know what the Steelers offense is, despite the fact that I don't think they're really good at anything besides contested catches to George Pickens? Top half of the NFL in scoring. Number 16 scoring offense, despite the fact that they don't do really anything good. So it's not a good matchup for this Giants offense, but that would be my approach into this game.
Yeah, not sexy. This is going to have to be a grinded out game. I think that's what you're saying.
And you need to give Malik Neighbors opportunities to win this game for you. Like that's the way it's got to be. And then when we're talking about their offense, Justin, first thing that's important is Captain Morgan. And this episode is brought to you by Captain Morgan, the official spice rum of the NFL. The NFL season is where legends are born on and off the field. Some are last-second plays that turn the tide and change a team's destiny, while others are of friends who follow the captain with them to make a regular get-together into the stuff of legends, like our members at the beginning. So grab your crew, grab a captain and cola, and make it a story to remember. And they will remember the Titans, because legends start when you follow the captain. You know, I really love Remember the Titans. You know, we will blitz all night. And whenever the Giants are doing something dumb, but they're spamming it, and it's like at least aggressive, like, we will screen all night. We will rush for all night. And they will remember the Giants. So
get the screens going again, too. That's another thing.
Screen game, baby. Screen game. Visit followthecaptain.com for more. Please drink responsibly. Captain Morgan official spice rum, 35% alcohol by volume. Captain Morgan Rum Company, New York, New York. Be glad you did. And drink responsibly, or there'll be repercussions.
Repercussions.
Repercussions. All right, Justin, the Steelers, I tweeted this because watching Steelers film and looking at their stats, it's like, man, I would love to have an offense that I like, because this Steelers offense to me is not good. Despite the fact that they're number 16 in scoring offense, 13th in EPA per play. The reason they are that, Justin, is because they only have one interception and they avoid negative runs. They're not very good at running the ball, but they avoid negative runs, and then they don't turn over the football. Like, obviously, they made the change to Russell Wilson, and that they had their best offensive game in points and yards, and that makes a difference. But, like, really what their offense is run, then play action bomb to Pickens. And then run, and then let's try and get a crosser to Freiermuth or Calvin Austin. The issue, though, like, the only team that runs more than them is the Baltimore Ravens. The issue is they're not a great rushing team, right? They're 9th in total rushing, but 25th in yards per carry, 18th in success rate. But what they are is they are a diverse run game. Like, they throw a ton of misdirection at you, right? We know that run play crunch that looks really cool. They ran that like 4 times in the first quarter against the New York Jets. And the biggest thing is their offensive line holds up the first level well, which helps them avoid negative runs. You know, and they have some guys who can maul up a little bit of front. They use the fullback and H-back a lot. Heavy formations are a key. They run 13 personnel, which is 3 tight ends, which is a little not true because they use their tight ends as fullbacks too. But 20% of the time. So like 20% of the time they have either 3 tight ends or 2 tight ends or a fullback on the field. And they stay committed to it. No matter what, they stay committed to it. And then they'll pop one off, right? Like, I don't think Najee Harris is a good back at all, but he puts up enough yards, averages 4.1 yards per carry, and they'll have the occasional explosive run mixed in the middle. And I wonder, Justin, because, you know, Shane Bowen has lived out of too high this year and he rotates guys down. The Eagles game was the first game where they stacked the box more so than not. It gets a little, skewed by the end of the game. But, like, they face legit wide receiver ones that, hey, you need to double these guys. We'll talk about Pickens, but I don't think Pickens is the type of guy you double team. I think Shane Bowen's going to stack the box the majority of the time in this game because they are so committed to the run game. And the fact that, like, I understand George Pickens can win a contested catch, but he can win a contested catch no matter what coverage you're running, really. And I don't think that's anything to fear offensively. They don't attack the middle of the field at all, especially with Russell Wilson. Like, this is a game where you got to stack the box. Like, you got to play a little differently in what you do. Like, you can play man coverage a lot like the Giants do, but, like, there's nothing about this offense that brings fear. So it's like, just don't let them run the ball on you consistently. Like, make them go 3 and out or 4 and out or whatever.
Well, I think that's easier said than done because if Dexter Lawrence is on the field, I feel pretty good about the Giants' ability to maybe get a negative play in the run game, and then the Steelers are playing from behind the sticks, and then the Giants' pass rush can square off, and then that's their winning formulas that they're leading the league in sacks, and You get teams behind the sticks, and that's how the Giants win, and that's how they get teams off the field, right? But this is a team that's done a good job of not making mistakes. Like Bobby said, they have the third lowest turnover rate. They have the seventh highest scoring percentage. They're 11th in points per drive, and none of these things are sexy. They're fourth in average time of possession, and they're eighth in the most plays run per drive. So they don't really do anything sexy. But they don't make mistakes, and they're able to
they grind it out.
They're sort of able to stay on schedule, and it's going to be about, well, how can you get them off schedule and force Russell Wilson to put the game in his hands? And the big worry is Bobby, though. Like I will, we'll address the elephant in the room. Number one, when Dexter Lawrence is not on the field, because he won't be on the field for 100% of the snaps. When he's not on the field, what is that running game?
He will be the majority, though, if they're not getting blown out. Like he played the majority of the game.
Okay, but it could be the difference. It could be the difference between Dexter Lawrence is off the field. You allow a 40-yard run, and that's one of the main differences in the game. So that's number one, which we've seen that happen. I'm not even being sarcastic. It's like when Dexter Lawrence is off the field, I'm worried about there being a run of 10, 20, 30 plus yards. We've seen that over and over again. And then number two, any of our cornerbacks, especially the outside corners, none of them can make a play on a football that I feel really confident in. And George Pickens is a top three, if not the best wide receiver in the NFL at going up and get a contested catch. And Russell Wilson showed last week with 6 contested targets and 4 contested catches. I think they're going to start to spam giving George Pickens contested targets in Pittsburgh when it decreased last year and it was a huge contested output his rookie year. I think they should get back to that because George Pickens is that good at it, and it is kind of like their offensive identity.
Yeah, it's how they score points. Is like in the reality is like getting down in the red zone by those contested catches. Here's the thing, though. This is a worry because we don't trust the Giants' offense to score points. Like if we trust the Giants' offense to score even like a decent, middle tier offense, it's like that's sick. You don't want that to happen, George Pickens, but like I'm not fearing the George Pickens contested catch. I understand it's probably going to happen at some point, but that's not something that strikes fear in your mind as a defensive coordinator. Like that's not something that consistently beats you and you got a game plan against. It's just, hey, make the play when it's there. Like you don't double team to stop a contested catch guy, and they have nobody else as a passing option, right? There's no like, oh well, if they're not going to Pickens, they're getting this. I mean, their receivers the next highest receivers for catches is 11 in 7 games. Like they're Freiermuth is their second option. Obviously, he's a tight end, but they just kind of run, play action. Russ's 42% of his dropbacks were play action. And I think that was one reason they made the change is because Russell Wilson is better at play action than Justin Fields is. So yeah, the Pickens, 31 catches, 475 yards through 7 games. He's gonna have those, right? Like
he's also top 10. He is top 10 in yards per route run too. Believe it or not.
Yeah, I think he's good. But his play style is not something that it's like you fear down in, down out. It's the contested catches. I'm not worried about one-on-one. He cooks me for a slant and takes it for a yak, or he runs a hitch on the outside. Like it's kind of one-trick pony. So I know he does some other things decently well, but that's the thing. And the other part of it is they don't have anyone else outside of him. Like there's really no man coverage beaters, and I think the Giants are going to run a lot of man coverage in this game. And you have a quarterback who avoids the middle of the field. Like they'll run a few good pick plays, which can create enough offense to have a Calvin Austin, 25, 30-yard catch, because he only has 11 catches, but 18 yards per catch. Or, Freiermuth can make a contested catch. But like there's nothing about their passing offense that's like, ooh, I really like the way that they do this consistently. Right. It is literally just George Pickens contested catches, which is a problem, which leads to them scoring points. But it doesn't lead to them being some good offense either. Like, yeah, I'm not fearful of the Pickens contested catches. We've talked about it a lot on our football show. I was like, this is a bad offense. Like, it's great that they can, muster up enough points with that defense and not turning over the football. But if they were a team with a bad defense, no one would be saying anything good about this offense at all.
But they have a good defense, and that's how Mike Tomlin has been able, between defense, special teams, they block a lot of kicks too. defense, special teams, they force turnovers when they have to in the second half and in the fourth quarter. They get the bounce that goes their way at the right time. They're the saying that the age is old as time. They're a disciplined football team that does the little things right, and that's how they're. They are. Like, that's how they're able to win. 8, 9 games. Or I should say 9. Over 9 games and be above 500. For the last 72 years.
Yeah, so. Like pass protection wise, like Broderick Jones is getting with the most sacks in the NFL, so you can lose 1-on-1 when you get Brian Burns on him, and then Zach Frazier's out, so like Ryan McCollum, who's barely ever played in the NFL, Dexter Lawrence will dominate that matchup. But we've talked about on these preview pods, like the Seahawks or the Eagles, man, they struggle with blitz pickup, right? Their backs don't get it. The offensive line doesn't slide the right way. Not the Steelers. You'll never get a free rusher against the Steelers' offensive line. Like, those guys are in the right place. Maybe it's a little different with the backup center in there, but you don't get those types of free rushers on them. So, like, no point in blitzing. It's just win your matchups in the middle with Dexter Lawrence and then Brian Burns on Broderick Jones. So, it is to win this game, defense. Like, I'm expecting a good game defensively. I'm expecting a bad game offensively. I unfortunately think that'll probably lead to a Steelers victory, but that's what I'm expecting. Like, I'm expecting this Giants defense to play well, and we're going to probably be talking about how the Giants offense let them down.
The fact that they scored 37 against a solid Jets defense and 32 against the Raiders don't have slouches on that defense. That doesn't. The
Raiders do have slouches on that defense. No, they're capable. Again, that Jets game. What happened in that game? George Pickens had 3 big catches, a pass interference drawn. Right, so that's 4. You're getting 4 plays off of that. They had an interception returned down to the 1-yard line. So yeah, and they ran the ball, fairly well in that game. So I'm not saying the Steelers aren't, but like, there's a lot of things have to go right. You have a quarterback who bails from clean pockets and Russell Wilson, but they're gonna play that way. So they very well may end up with 27 points, but it's not because they had some great offensive games. It's because their defense never put them in a bad situation.
Right. I'm calling it a race to 23 points.
I don't think it might. I think it's a race to 17 points, honestly. So we'll see. All right, Justin, why don't you talk to us about something?
I will,
and then we'll bring on Jolly Olive.
I'll talk to you about Chris Gates Fitness. Today's episode is brought to you by Chris Gates Fitness. It's an online fitness monthly membership. Chris Gates is the coach, and he's a massive football and sports fan. It's a program and community designed for sports fans. You'll learn how to make sustainable progress while being in a group that's a ton of fun and provides accountability and support. Members, you get a new workout program every month so you can build muscle, burn fat, and feel healthier and more athletic overall. And you'll get tons of support, too, through live Q&As with Chris and the community, learning modules that teach you about diet and exercise, and hundreds of video tutorials. So I want you who's listening at home, you can use the promo code GIANTS to get 80% off your first month of training camp or $10. After the discount first month, the price will go to $50 for each subsequent month. There's no long-term commitment. You can sign up and cancel at any time. Head to the link in our description to learn more. Thank you, Chris Gates Fitness. You will be glad you did.
We now welcome on our weatherman, Jolly Olive. Jolly, what's the weather looking like this weekend in Pittsburgh? Or not even this weekend, Monday night in Pittsburgh.
Monday night, I was going to correct you. Nicely done, Bobby, and your mustache is looking great today. I got
It's because it's for the Yankees who they're in the playoffs still.
It's a welcome addition. I like it. Monday night, you're going to get some football weather. 50s. Partly cloudy, no rain. This is some real fall weather. You're going to see some long sleeves. This is like, a primetime game. And we should act like it. We should act like we're going to have a say in the final score. And it's nice that we have some nice weather to go with it.
Go 3-5.
Go 3-5.
You almost beat the Commanders.
Should have.
Then you go 4-5.
Okay.
Then you have the Panthers.
Okay.
And you're 5-5. That's a path.
That's a path. Winning. It's a path.
Do you agree, Bobby?
Yeah, there's paths. Jump on a train path with this team. What do you got for trivia this week?
Trivia this week, for those who don't know, we're keeping tally this year. Bobby is up on Justin Penik 9-8 in this year's trivia standings. This is once again a 1-point week, so 1 question, 1 answer. You guys will text me your answer, and then I'll do a dramatic reading. The Giants have not beaten the Steelers since 2008, a year after they won the Lombardi. They dropped all 3 of their previous matchups within a 10-point margin, so close games. Back in the 08 game with a final score of 21-14, you might think, 3 Giants touchdowns. Neat. Wrong. It was a safety and 4 field goals and then a touchdown to make things interesting. So, my question to you, who caught the touchdown pass from Eli Manning in that game?
Kevin Boss.
Why did you say it out loud?
Because I said it at the top of the show.
Did you really?
I did.
Yeah. Justin was looking up.
You cost
Giants
yourself. You cost yourself.
I got
Kevin,
the point.
Yes, so did Bobby.
Okay, great.
Kevin,
Everybody
Kevin
wins.
Boss. Yeah, because Justin was looking up Giants Steelers box scores because he wanted to
Why
win
would
trivia.
you do that?
I didn't do. I
Why
didn't do it on
would you
purpose.
do that?
I swear to God, I didn't do it on purpose. Bobby said it. Bobby started off the show saying, "Oh well, not really looking forward to Monday." No, he didn't say not looking forward. He's like, Monday night may be a rough one." And then I'm like, you know what? I remember this game in Giants history, so I chose to look up the box score.
Bobby was right to yell at you on the other podcast. I think so. I think he was right to bring the hammer down on you.
And
Because that's crazy. That's where I live for this trivia. Unbelievable.
here's some trivia.
Yeah.
What day of the week was Eli Manning's first good game in the NFL, which was against the Pittsburgh Steelers, against Big Ben as a rookie?
Saturday.
It was a Saturday game. I remember watching it
That's
on
what I said.
Saturday.
Yes.
So you lose a point.
Nope.
So
You
it
both
was- it
gain
was-
a point. Bobby, let me ask you, would you have gotten that had Penik not outlined it so clearly?
No. But neither would have Penik if he didn't look it up. So,
That's fair.
You don't know that.
You played yourself. You played yourself. What do you want me to say? You played yourself.
I
Nice
guess,
job, boys.
I guess the trivia question. Though.
Bobby 10, Penik 9. Nicely done.
Thank you.
All right, we got fantasy draft. So how about this, guys? Jolly Stone last, obviously. 54
Relax.
points back.
Had a better week than you last
Justin
week.
has taken his first lead in fantasy since the inaugural year in 2020.
In like 5
Since the
years.
first year we did this in
It's a
2020.
3-point lead.
The last year that we played the Steelers, Justin has a lead. He has a 3.4 point lead over me. He had a 44 point outing because he didn't put his heart into the team. He picked Saquon Barkley. I put my heart over the facts once, and then I'm losing after a 17 point outing. Jolly, you have the first pick this week. This has the possibility to be the worst fantasy week of the year because these offenses are just bleh.
I disagree.
Yeah, but I mean, we have a quarterback-proof wide receiver on our squad. Steelers' run defense is going to be pretty ferocious, so I gotta imagine they're going to try and throw the ball. I'm taking Malik Neighbors.
That's the correct pick. You can't trust either of these running backs. Pickens again, not going to give you the reception totals that a guy like Malik Neighbors can, and that's where I just.
Is he your 2 though? Because that's on my big board, which people it's on the come up. My big board. He's my number 2.
Wandale or
No,
Pickens?
Pickens.
No, I'm actually going to go Najee Harris because they love to run the ball. The Giants aren't going to put them in an offensive shootout, so I'm going to go Najee Harris. Even though I don't think Najee Harris is that good, I'm going to go Najee Harris with my first pick.
Let the record show that Jolly had him third on his big board.
Third on my big board.
I thought you were
Close
doing
third.
that meme where it's like the people hold up 3 fingers and it's something to do with.
You mean this?
I don't want to get it wrong. Is that what it is?
This is 2 in the pink, 1 in the stink.
No, not that. We know that. Justin doesn't know.
I don't think he knows what that means. So
All right. Let's move on.
after
on.
the show.
Yeah.
Talk about it.
We're not doing that on this show. All right, Justin, you got back-to-back picks.
All right, I'll take Wandale Robinson.
You're gonna get a lot of heat for that one, Justin.
It's my 4.
He was number 4 on my big board too.
But I'm taking the Giant first because then I'll be taking George Pickens on the come around.
Yeah, this is where I would have liked to pick this week as third.
I
because-
love having the third pick.
Yeah, wraparound's good here.
So it's just like I don't trust Slayton to do anything against the Steelers team, and I'm going to be force feeding Neighbors and Wandale. I'll go Pat Freiermuth. I mean, he's
Damn.
he's the number 2 on that team. Have you ever wondered like what Pat Freiermuth would look like if he had like good quarterback play? Because he's had bad quarterback play his entire
He's a good player.
career with the Steelers. Like I think he he'd be talked about a lot more if he didn't play with awful quarterbacks.
I think it would be Trey McBride and Jace, except I think Freiermuth maybe is a little bit of a better blocker.
Yeah, so I'm going to go Pat Freiermuth because I just don't trust anyone else to get targets. All right, you got back-to-back picks, Jolly.
I think, I know that Van Jefferson stinks. Not into him.
He was like 11 catches on the year.
I feel like Jalen Warren's going to be good for some receptions this game. The only thing is, do I want to take a Giant first? Wan'Dale went. And, I think Singletary's going to be RB1. Okay. I will take... I don't feel good about it, let the record show, but I will take Devin Singletary with the 6. And then I will take Jalen Warren with the 7.
Okay, so this is how we know that you had to watch the Mets on Sunday night.
Yeah.
Tyrone Tracy is the Giants' RB1 now.
Well, he's my... I'll talk about him in a little bit.
So Tyrone Tracy is going to be my pick here. So you took Singletary and Jalen Warren?
Yes.
Okay.
And yes, I did watch the Mets on Sunday night.
Great.
Yeah, I don't blame you, brother. If you just look at the carries, like, oh, there's this split back. They also just didn't run the ball. They ran the ball three times in the first half.
It was a dual screen setup, and I didn't look at one of the screens.
Yeah, that's what this is going to suck for me is, I'm going to do that, too, for the Monday night game. But I'm not going to be able to pay attention to the base. My heart will not be physically be able to be into the Yankees.
And I feel bad for you. I do.
I feel bad for me, too. I have to cover this team for 10 more games. All right, Justin, you got your final 2 picks.
I'll go Darius Slayton. And then dude, what's the I need to look at just catches really quick and compare notes.
It's cheating.
I am going to go look after this game and see if it was the lowest scoring total of the year.
Theo Johnson and Calvin Austin have the same number of catches.
Yeah, but Calvin Johnson averages 18 yards per catch.
Calvin Austin. Calvin Austin might as well be Calvin Johnson this year.
Calvin Austin, another Senior Bowl short king.
Yeah, I'll take the short. No, it's our guy Drew Phillips is going to be locking him down. Yeah, hell, just give me Calvin Austin.
Yeah, I was giving me my next one.
Whatever.
He has the ability for a play action, big play. That can be all his points, where no one else really has that. I'm gonna go Theo Johnson. I know that touchdown didn't count, but maybe that play is enough to be like, you know what, this guy can box some people out. We can actually use his size. We don't have to be afraid to throw to anyone besides our wide receiver one and our slot wide receiver. So I'm gonna go Theo Johnson. At some point, he's gonna have a nice 60 to 70 yard game, and we're gonna get all super excited about it. Let this be it. Monday Night Football. Let him be the better Penn State tight end. Bitch. Jolly, last pick.
Van Jefferson caught a tutty last week. I'll take him.
Tutty.
You know who's really good friends with Van Jefferson?
Who?
Kadarius Toney. They are very close friends, and I'm voting Kadarius Toney for president.
Talent embedded in their friendship.
Florida Gators. I remember he went to a Rams Thursday night game and was wearing Rams gear, and Giants fans were a little frustrated by that. And then people were like, you guys got to leave this kid alone. There's nothing wrong with him. There was a lot of things wrong with him. All right, to recap, Justin in first has Wan'Dale Robinson, George Pickens. Hey, that's a decision that people talk about. Shout out 2022 draft.
That is true.
Darius Slayton and Calvin Austin. Myself in second, 3.5 points back. Najee Harris, Pat Freiermuth, Tyrone Tracy, and Theo Johnson. I got the backs and the tight ends. And then Jolly, Olive has Malik Neighbors, Devin Singletary, Jalen Warren, and Van Jefferson. All right, it's time for Giant Factors, where we pick our X Factor of the game. Jolly, you're up first.
Bobby, I'm not going to ask you what you have because last time I did, I had to forfeit mine so that you could give an impassioned speech. So I hope that we don't have the same guy. I don't think we do, though. My guy is the guy that I didn't pick in the draft. Tyrone Tracy is my Giant Factor this week. The Pittsburgh Steelers have a ferocious run defense. In fact, I have some numbers for you. They rank second in yards per rush allowed, 3.6. They rank third in yards per game allowed on the ground, 81. And they rank first in rushing touchdowns per game, 0.4 Top 3 in all those major rushing categories. Tyrone Tracy was just given the keys to the job after a really poor performance by Devin Singletary last week. And what a way to announce your presence and stick to that RB1 position by having a game against a really tough rushing defense. So I'm looking for Tyrone Tracy to make an impact because who the hell knows what's going to happen with this O-line and what's going to happen with this quarterback position. They might not be throwing the ball at the halfway point in this game. We might need Tyrone Tracy. So he is going to be my giant factor this week.
We do need him. We need him to have a good game in this game. My giant factor is Tyler Nubin.
Fuck.
The Giants have 1 interception this year. The Pittsburgh Steelers have only thrown 1 interception this year. So it's like, oh, there's not going to be interceptions. Let's change that. Like, let's have the number 2, both. How about this? Both teams are due for a second interception, the Giants defense and the Steelers offense. And I would love for it to be none other than Tyler Nubin. Tyler Nubin's played good football. His responsibility is basically to be the middle defender in man coverage and then man up on tight ends from downfield. And he's played that well, right? He hasn't been targeted a ton. He gives up the catches when they're there, but he gives them up for very short games. He's been a good player. But we talked about you getting your hands on the football as why you're a good draft pick, right? 5 interceptions last year, 4 the year before, 3 the year before that. Get an interception, right? The defense we're calling on the defense to win this game for the New York Giants. Just like the Steelers defense did against the Jets last week. Why don't you get an interception? Why don't we return it down to the 4-yard line? And that's where the Giants get some points from. So, I remember a Monday Night Football game a couple years ago where a guy who didn't get any interceptions got one and it led the Giants scoring points. Andrew Thomas. So, Tyler Nubin, go out there and be a Giant factor. Justin, who is your Giant factor for Week 8?
That was a great Giant factor, Bobby. Really was.
Go Drew Phillips.
No. I mean, now my backup, I kind of want to say Deontay Banks, but I mean, that's like, the former first-round pick who's chalk. But you want to know what Deontay Banks is my giant factor.
Okay, go give your speech and we'll talk about it.
It's my giant factor because, dude, you're in the fan base's shit list, and that is not a good place to be. Mm-hmm. If you're a Giants player, especially if you're a first-round pick, and you're in year 2 and you're on the fans' shit list for not trying, forget just being bad, but there's been multiple effort plays this year. It's not a good place to be when you're in the fans' shit list for not trying. So he has an opportunity, and lo and behold, I think the toughest opponent for him is a receiver that can go up and make a play on the football because Deontay Banks cannot go up and make a play on a football. Now, they also may do this thing where Cordell Flott may be covering George Pickens, and then they give him help. I hope the game plan is Deontay Banks against George Pickens because I just want to see it. I want to see Deontay Banks maybe go up there, make a play on a football, show that he can be physical because that was the whole thing coming out of Maryland. Physical man corner. Okay, well, haven't seen it a ton, haven't seen the ball production. Deontay Banks, go out there, be a Giant factor, and start to shut some Giants fans up that are trying to get you out of here already.
Does he play the first quarter? I won't say fully suspended. Like, do you think he will play the first quarter?
Yes. I would not play him the first quarter, but yes, he does.
I think so, too. All right. Time for spread picks, which I think we should just get rid of this segment. But just, Jolly, before we get into this segment, who brought us this segment?
I love spread picks, Bobby, and they're brought to you by the DraftKings Sportsbook. Guys, there's a chill in the air. Leaves are falling to the ground. You're going to get some nice fall weather on this Monday night game, and football every weekend. That's what fall is all about. You can make every weekend even more exciting by getting into the action with our partners at the DraftKings Sportsbook, the number one place to bet touchdowns right now. All new customers who bet just $5 will instantly get $200 in bonus bets when they use code WORLD. Talking Giants versus you. Stay on the action and use your $200 in bonus bets to bet anytime touchdowns on DraftKings, like an anytime touchdown for Tyrone Tracy, if you're buying into that Giant factor, babe. So download their app right now. It's free and easy to use. Use promo code WORLD, WORLD. Bet $5 on any wager. Get $200 in bonus bets instantly only at the DraftKings Sportsbook. You'll be glad you did.
Why do you want to get rid of the segment, Robert?
Because I stink. I STINK stink. I'm in last place after a 3-5 week at 23-33. Justin also finished 3-5. He's 25-31. My new goal is just to pass Justin. That's my new goal.
That's a bad goal.
One day at a time. It's one day at a time. Like Joe Judge.
I can flex.
We're doing the things we can today. I can pass Justin this week. That's my goal. Jolly is in second place after a 7-1 week. He finally broke the 500 streak. He's 31-25, and the listeners just keep stacking them, right? Not flashy, just keep stacking them. 5-3. They are now in first place at 34-22, trying to defend their title, and that's just great, right? Start following the listeners on DraftKings. Thursday Night Football, we got Vikings at Rams plus 2.5. The listeners are represented by Jack. I didn't write that down right. What is? Oh, Jack Myers. Jack Myers.
Oh, Jack Myers. I know Jack Myers.
I don't think you do. I think that's a very common name.
Nope, I know Jack Myers.
All right, let's see.
Jack Myers knows me.
Oh, yeah, he knows us. He's a Patreon. He's picking the Vikings minus 2.5. You know what? I'm going upset. I trust a Matthew Stafford against a Brian Flores defense to sling it in there. I'm going upset game. Rams plus 2.5. We haven't had that crazy Thursday Night Football weird result yet. Rams plus 2.5. Justin, who do you got?
Bobby has a chance to make up ground. Give me the Vikings.
Jolly.
You know, I saw that really fun rumor that was so clearly nothing of Matthew Stafford going to the Vikings, but it's in his brain.
Oh, it's Matthew Stafford going to the Vikings, not Matthew Stafford going to the Giants.
Yeah, Jack Settleman, who does a podcast with.
Oh, that's right. He's with I know who he's with. He's like underdog fantasy and shit like that.
Yeah, he said that like it's happening.
Point being, Stafford thought about it. He said, that'd be nice, and he's going to watch
sense for the
how
Vikings.
nice it could be when the Vikings take down the Rams this week.
It would make sense for the Vikings.
Ton of sense.
Eagles at Bengals minus 2. Justin, who do you got in this one?
Bengals Super Bowl journey resumes. Give me the Bengals.
The listeners agree with you. Does Jolly agree with you?
Eagles ride the momentum of a beatdown last week. They win this game too.
Yeah, they probably do.
I agree. I got Eagles plus 2. I think they're going to run the ball really well.
I think we fixed them. I think that's what happened.
They were like the Bengals have won 2 games in a row, but they've lost them. Or they beat 2 bottom 5 teams in the NFL with the Giants and Browns, and they weren't these beat down games. So I'm going Eagles plus 2. Falcons at Bucks plus 2.5. The Mike Evans list, Chris Godwin list, Godless Bucks. Jolly, who do you got?
Yeah, I was going to bring that up. I think those injuries, I think
But
they
they're
can
godless?
overcome them. I think eventually, but it's going to take a while. And I think this first week without them is going to hurt. Give me the Falcons.
Yeah, listeners agree. I agree as well. I mean, the Falcons did win this matchup, in the dome, but they put up a lot of points on them. I think Kirk Cousins threw for 500 yards. I think they win this game. Justin.
I agree. I want to pick Bucks, but their defense just isn't good enough, and the injuries, at least without seeing how this offense is going to work the first week, give me the Falcons.
Cardinals at Dolphins minus 3.5. The return of Tua. I'm going the Dolphins. I think they boat race them. I'm going to see how long my take of the fact that the Cardinals are just a every other week type of team. So I'm going to go Dolphins minus 3.5. Oh, by the way, no team has won after playing the Lions. The Vikings played after the Lions. That's a Chris Long stat. Justin, who you got?
Chris Long also said that Evan Neal had balance issues after the NFL draft.
He knows ball. He knows ball.
He does. Give me the Dolphins.
Jolly.
Curious to see how Tua looks. Kind of an uninspired game for the Dolphins last week.
Really? It's been an uninspired month.
Yeah, but I thought they would beat the Colts, who are, I just think, a much inferior team.
For the show.
Cardinals got a messy win over a team that I think was pretty good with a good defense, so I'll take the Cardinals again.
Listeners are also falling into the Cardinals trap.
Oh, no.
Game of the week? Bills at Seahawks plus 3? I want to believe in the Bills. I'm circling those wagons. I got Amari Cooper and the Bills minus 3. Justin, who you got?
Oh, rest in peace, Danny King. Let's circle those wagons. Bills.
Jolly?
I got to pick an upset eventually. I can't just play chalk this whole time. I'll go Seahawks. I like what they're building over there. Bills. I think it's gonna be I think it's gonna be the game of the week, Bobby.
That's a big upset pick. A 4-3 team beating a 5-2 team.
Yeah, I know. Right? I'm very brave.
Listeners are going Bills. Bryce Young's return at Broncos minus 9.5. Who do you got in this one, Jolly?
This is an insane spread. I think even with that gargantuan number, I'm still going to take the Broncos.
It's like
I don't even think the Panthers can cover. I don't.
the atomic bomb versus coughing baby meme. That's like the Broncos defense versus Bryce Young. Like that's
It's just not fair.
no. Like they might cover that just with like defensive points. Like what other QB matchup in the NFL where it's like, yeah, Bo Nix is clearly the superior player? I'm going Broncos too. Listeners are going Panthers though. Justin,
I actually need to change my starting defense in fantasy because I originally had it as the Chargers against the Saints. I think I'm changing it to Broncos against the Panthers.
Is that available?
No, I'm talking
you
about
have both those defenses.
I do in my home league.
How many teams are in that league?
12.
That's crazy.
Hey, Bobby, do you know the standings of the John Boy Media Fantasy League?
I saw the graphic. You're in first place, right?
I'm middle of the pack. I'm top 4 right now. Justin Penik, 2-5, having a disaster season.
I'm going to win, though. I feel very confident. I'm going to pick the Broncos to cover this game.
I want to actually check and see if the Broncos defense is available. Nope. Is the Chargers defense available?
Do you want Patrick Mahomes?
Nope.
It's available.
No, I literally traded. I traded him to you in another league that we're in.
What'd you say, Justin?
I said the Broncos are going to cover.
Okay. Then we have Bears at Commanders +3. It seems like we're going to get Marcus Mariota in this game. So I'm going to go Bears -3. Jolly.
Bears for me as well.
Listeners got Bears. Is it a clean sweep?
This feels trappy, but I'm going to go Bears. Feels like the Commanders could just take care of business.
It does feel trappy. Like some bad drugs. Cowboys at 49ers -4. Do the 49ers continue their dominance over the Dallas Cowboys? Jolly Olive.
So here's my rationale for this one, and it's stupid. Mike McCarthy is approaching hot seat territory, and what I think would be really funny is if he pulled out a big win to quell the hot seat stuff, and Dallas Cowboy fans have to suffer him more. So I have the Cowboys pulling this one out and then suffering through Mike McCarthy at least through the end of the season.
I kind of like that.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
Listeners disagree. Justin, who you siding with?
I also disagree. I think the 49ers are just going to run the damn ball down their throats.
I do too. I'm going 49ers.
I'm fine with that outcome. I'm okay with that. It's a hedge.
All right. It's time for score predictions. Jolly, what do you got for New York Giants at Pittsburgh Steelers on Monday Night Football?
The Giants go into hostile territory
and win.
And they save their season for the brief moment.
Yes.
But it's a tight one. Giants 17, Steelers 15.
Yes.
Justin, what do you got?
So the Steelers have 5 field goals?
No, they go for 2.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense.
Well, it's 2 field goals. No, it does. You're right. It does
2 touchdowns and go for 2.
Okay.
But why, if they score 2 touchdowns, why would they go for 2 on both of them?
Because they're up 15-0 and they're trying to run up the score.
Mike Tomlin does like to go for 2.
And then the Giants make an improbable comeback.
It's a great
Tommy DeVito under center. Right,
it's a great point by Jolly Olive.
I don't
Steelers 20. Steelers 27, Giants 10.
Come on.
I don't even know if this happened last year, and it definitely didn't happen the year before. We're once again in this shitty situation, Justin, where we have to say shit like it can get worse, right? So like, don't tell me your argument is that it can't get worse, because it can get worse. Like I went through this before, and it's the worst situation in the world because you're arguing for bad, right? It's like, no, I'm telling you, this bad is not as bad as that bad. Like it's a frustrating situation to be in, and so because I'm so frustrated, because it's Monday Night Football against the Pittsburgh Steelers in this dominating defense, I am going Giants 2, Steelers 0.
What? This early in the year?
We'll see you Tuesday morning. I don't know what you're going to get then, but we'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.